Alright, YouTube, it's the Shadow King, King Nazru. So, after many requests, I have decided to give in. And instead of just leaving it to a written review on DeviantArt, I'm going to do a video review of all the Spider-Man movies, including the Raimiman trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man series. So, let's get started. Now, before we begin, I want to note that due to my reviews for these movies being rather long, uh, I'll probably have to separate them into multiple part videos. So whenever we hit like a 10-minute mark, where I'll stop and then continue. Let's proceed, shall we? Years ago, we asked to see a Spider-Man movie, but Marvel said it was impossible due to the technology needed for the special effects. Then, in 2002, they said that Sam Raimi gave us the Spider-Man movie we yearned for. Oh boy, were we wrong. But to truly understand what went wrong in this movie, we have to dissect it. But uh, before that, I'd like to point out that I don't hate Sam Raimi and his movies. I like the Evil Dead trilogy. I like Hercules: The Legendary Journeys. I like Xena. I like Spartacus. But he crossed the line in this trilogy. Now let's go to the story. The movie does a solid portrayal of the origin within the first half of the movie, but still has its problems. The story feels kind of rushed in areas, such as when Raimiman is designing his final costume. He just draws it and colors it in, and then he looks at it, and boom, he becomes Raimiman with no explanation, no of where he got the stuff to make the costume, or anything like that. Scenes weren't given time to breathe, characters didn't have time to develop, etc. But overall, it does hold the same concept of nerd gets powers, uncle dies due to a decision he made, and he tries to be responsible. But the last part is where the movie and ultimately the trilogy suffers. We'll get to that. But like I said, scenes and characters were rushed. Plus, some things like the fight scenes were done in montages, which is kind of pathetic, really. Not to mention, it makes the movie more campy than it already was. First off, the organic webs. Now, I won't deny it's pretty cool that Spider-Man has organic webbing. It's a nice feature. Um, it makes it more reliable. But here's the thing. Uh, in the comics, Spider-Man did not have organic webbing until much later in the comics, until they retconned it later. Damn you, Joker son, I hate you so much. Uh, in the comics, earlier on, he invented the web shooters, and you're thinking, oh, you're just a comic purist and all that. No, there's a point to this. When he invented the web shooters, he was showing how intelligent he was. He was applying how how well adept he was in science, in physics, in chemistry. Here in this movie, you don't see that. You just hear that he's smart and he points out a few facts. Pretty much, that's not being a genius. That's just being smart. That's There's a fine line between that. In The Amazing Spider-Man, for example, we got to see Peter invent the web shoes to show off his intelligence, and further shown it in Spider-Man as Spider-Man when he tracked down the lizard, creating a giant web to pretty much like how spiders keep track of their prey. That's that's being a genius. Let's see. Uh, in the film, let's see. I pretty much already covered that. When Peter got his powers uh, in the comics, not only did he have an alter ego, but a change in his personality. He was more outgoing, and with this, he becomes more confident, even to the point of being arrogant. That's how people would feel if we got our powers and realized we can't be bullied anymore. And he even starts rebelling against Aunt May and Uncle Ben in some versions. In the movie, it's there, but it's not really explored much. It only happens in that instance, and when Uncle Ben and Peter are in the car. It was only going to be in one scene. And if that was the case, you should have given it more weight so it would have had more impact and not seem just abrupt. The origin was basically glossed over when they could have done more. But it's decent overall. Nothing special, nothing horrible, just workable. Uh, Now let's go into the characters. Peter Parker slash Raimiman. Oh boy. I don't hate Tobey Maguire personally. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's not Peter Parker, and he's not Spider-Man. And let's be honest, the guy cannot act. He's he is a reactionary actor. Everything he does is just in response to something. Any other time it's just blank and wooden. That is just the hard, cold truth. Tobey Maguire is not an actor. In this movie, Peter Parker is altruistic, sweet little nerd, and looks like a stereotypical one. Again, this is something I'll address in the Amazing Spider-Man review. That gets picked on by everyone, even nerds. And it's gotten so ridiculous that you would think this was a Spider-Man parody. But nope, this is the actual Spider-Man movie. Or Raimiman, as I would prefer, because I see nothing of Spider-Man in this guy. Then he gets his powers, has fun with them, got into a little, and I mean little, spat with Uncle Ben. Makes one itty-bitty mistake that gets him killed, avenges his uncle by inadvertently kill the carjacker, learning that with great power comes great responsibility, which they beat to death in this trilogy. Beat to death in this trilogy, I swear. In one way or another, they keep repeating that motto. And again, I'll explain that more when we get to a review of Raimiman 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man. So, people think that this is totally Spider-Man. Yeah, no. Peter Parker was a normal kid. He was picked on, but not to this extent. He was selfish, but not to the point of being unlikable. And when he got his powers, he did get cocky, told wisecracks a lot. Seriously, Tobey Maguire, Raimiman hardly says anything, let alone a joke. And when he does make the attempt, it just comes off as cliche and lame. And if you don't believe me, remember that line, "It's yours, Alcobby, out of your mind." A line so completely stupid and lame that even the actors made fun of it. I will continue to explain it in part 2 of my Raimiman review.